Not a matter of if, but when crisis will rock your world. I'm Roshini Rajkumar, crisis strategist, licensed attorney, and host of The Crisis Files. In each case file, we dive into a ripped from the headlines crises and try to find solutions. Fallon is a Twin Cities-based media personality with syndicated shows across the United States. You can listen to her Monday through Friday on KDWB's Afternoon Drive, where she co-hosts the Fallon and Colt Show. Check it out across Minnesota and in Salt Lake City. Every weekday morning, she also co-hosts The Jason Show on Fox 9, which is syndicated nationally. Her bright, cheery personality and 1,000-watt smile might have you believe Fallon's always on cloud nine. But fact can be very different from what fans see and hear. Fallon is here for the case file I call Cost of Fame. Fallon, it's so true. I listen to you all the time. You're so fun to listen to on the radio, watch on TV, and you have just this bright lightness about you.
Oh, thank you.
Are you always happy?
No. No. I think if you spoke to a lot of my friends and family, they would say I'm the cynic, the glass half empty. I'm more of a pessimist than optimist. So I think I can make the room laugh, but no, not always happy.
So how do you balance, what I think could become a real mental health issue, which is everyone expects you, whether it's fans or just the public, or even if you're just out grocery shopping and someone recognizes you, that takes an emotional toll. It's got to be an energy suck.
Yeah, I think I think in our industry, you're worried about the perception of you, right? So I don't want someone to meet me and then I ruin the perception for them if they think that I'm a lovely person, because realistically, I am a lovely person at times, but at times I'm not.
Because you're human.
Yeah, I'm human, and so I think about people will talk about never they met a celebrity and they had an awful experience, and I'm like, so I try really hard to, if someone took the time to care about me, they listen, but it really can, I think, take a toll in that for at least 5 hours every day, I have to be pretty much 100% on, no matter what I'm going through behind the scenes. And 5 hours of the day is a lot. And when I go home or I'm with my kid, I also want to be on for her, because she doesn't need to know mom is having a rough one right now. I want her to see emotions and how to maybe properly handle them, but I don't know that I always do properly handle them.
Right. Well, and it's interesting when you say people will, and we hear this, right, in entertainment news or just around, I met Tom Hanks and he was this or that, or, I met Kelly Clarkson and she's so sweet. I mean, the fact is these are people that you meet. They happen to have higher profiles, and for your audiences, you are a celebrity and you are more well-known than a lot of people in the area where you live. So what do you do kind of internally to keep the reality check for yourself?
Oh, man. I think that's, well, first of all, therapy. And I found a good therapist, not because I think also a thing that a lot of people in my position do is our identity becomes what we do. And I don't want that, because at some point I won't do this anymore, and I don't want to be completely lost and feel like I'm worthless because I don't have a certain job, right? So I've seen lots of different therapists, but then I found a good for me therapist. The other therapists were great, but it's like your person you marry or you date, they have to fit you. And I found this woman, and she really changed me in a lot of ways, because I used to spiral a lot, I would say. One thing went wrong, or one interaction, I would replay it in my head. And
you just couldn't get it out of your brain.
I couldn't. I would spend the whole day, and I would sit on the couch, and and my husband is so different than me. He's really able to look at something, I think, in an emotionally intelligent way, and why would I let that ruin my entire day? And I'm like, how can you not let it ruin your entire day? So I've gotten better about that. I think a lot of that is age also, not just therapy. But I think that it's just, I don't know. I don't know the complete answer to that, because I don't think I have it figured out.
Well, what I love, and I appreciate that you're being really candid with us, is, and over time. I mean, like when I was little, even when I was in college, if someone needed therapy or had a therapist, it was very hidden. There was stigma in just saying out loud, I'm not good with this, or I'm down, or I have anxiety. So, and I hear you talking. I mean, openly, radio personalities like you are talking about either their therapist or suggesting someone get therapy. So you are doing a public service in a way by being that public figure who's candid about this. So I appreciate that. What about people, what would you like to say to sort of like the public out there that also put some really high demands on public figures of all types, whether they're in entertainment, whether they are office holders, actors, whatever it is?
I think, imagine if someone recorded you all the time. Do you think it would be perfect? Do you think it would be just flawless? No, I don't think it would be. They'd catch you at an unfortunate angle, saying something you wish no one had heard, you say. And the thing is, when I do TV or radio, it's live. I'm going to make mistakes. Our culture, our society is changing daily. So I will say something that maybe is no longer socially acceptable. And I'm like, I didn't know. Let's learn from this and move forward.
Let's unpack it. Let's learn.
But you hear people say all the time, hey, don't judge that person. You don't know what they're going through. And it's hard to not judge. Like, I judge too. Okay. So I'm not going to act like I don't judge anyone. Of course I judge. It's human nature to judge, right?
It is. We have opinions.
We do. But I will say, allow people a little bit of grace, because I have friends who have gone through horrendous things, horrendous breakups, horrendous family loss, personal loss, infertility, all these things. And they have to go on. Their job is to make other people's day brighter and distract them from what they're going through. So I've gone through hard things too. And I think people want you to be vulnerable, but they don't want endless vulnerability. So if I was going through heartache, they want to hear about it. But if I whined about it every day.
But it's not a 10-part series on KDWB.
If every day, as I was actually recovering and healing from it, I whined about it, I'd be ripped. People like, move on. Oh my God, everyone has problems, right? So we're usually trying to mask those things in this industry of what's going on truly behind closed doors, because that's kind of our job.
When I think about my job now, my post-TV reporting life as a crisis strategist and executive coach to these high-profile leaders, and they have bad days too, right? And there are a lot of our listeners out there who can relate to this. Corporate types have bad days too, and my job is to help them make sure the optics and the messaging that goes out on either a personal bad day or a corporation's bad day is the least damaging.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm constantly thinking about worst case scenarios and how do we make the best case scenario. So it is happening all around us, and probably even more and more. And I'm sure you knew we were going to talk about social media. Social media can be such a boon, such a benefit, but it can also be just a dagger.
Yes, it is. You are on call 24/7. And I know a lot of people that have probably a healthier relationship with it than I do. I'm like the kind of person that I don't like when I see someone's phone and they have all the red messages on their texts or on their email. I'm like, how do you live like that? I like a clean inbox, right? So I am constantly reading, responding to every possible critique about my existence, and I don't think that's healthy. I don't think it's healthy in a positive way for me to read tons of positive things about myself, and I don't think it's healthy to read constant negative things either. And so I give too much time to it. I'm openly addicted to my phone and social media, and you feel like there's a level of like, I have to stay relevant, so I need to interact with people, but you are then giving full access all the time. And that cannot be good for any person's mental health.
No, I mean, it really isn't. And I was noticing recently, and it was probably on Instagram or X, it was not on LinkedIn that this happened, where someone was sharing a genuine positive thing or some kind of triumph in their life. I commented on there, congratulated them, just made some other thing. And most people did that. But then there were a couple of people that were commenting about their wardrobe or their makeup. And I'm just like, in a negative way.
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, is there a time and place? This was definitely not the time or place.
Right.
And I don't know. I am a glass half full person. I like to live in the light. I like to bring people into the light. So when someone's having a celebratory day,
Yes.
why on earth would you publicly put out some kind of writing that's even negative? I mean, even if you're thinking it,
Yeah.
maybe you don't need to comment on that post.
Yeah, keep it to yourself. Also look inward, right? Why is this person's hair upsetting me this much? There's something deeper there. I will say another thing I talked about with like as I've gotten older, those kind of mean comments don't wreck me anymore. I think I've heard it all.
Can you, I mean, I don't really want to take you back there, but can you let's try to laugh at it.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite mean comment?
Oh, I mean, literally today I got one that said, Fallon, you should try Wegovy. Right.
Ugh.
But see, that used to be the easiest target for me was my weight. Like when people were mean to me and I'm always like, I don't care about my weight. If you insult my like what I do, my like craft, if you will, and craft sounds
Or your
so
integrity.
lame, or my intelligence, that would affect me because like that is something I care a lot more about. When I was younger, I cared about how people saw me physically. Like, oh, I hope they don't think I'm fat. Okay. Random guy without an image. You think I need Wegovy? Okay, cool.
Well,
so that kind of stuff doesn't hurt my feelings anymore.
Well, I mean, I'd like to think crisis filers are never going to do something like that to you. But if there is someone listening who would even think of sending something like that, I mean, I would say the only person who I couldn't control anything she said was my mother. So, when I first started my TV reporting career or different times, and for 2 years of my reporting career, it was in this in Minneapolis where I live. So she got to watch me on a regular. And in other times when she's seen pictures, usually the first thing she would say is, well, I don't know that purple jacket was a good choice. But from my mother, it still kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But it was way better than from a random stranger who I was not frankly asking about my wardrobe.
Right. Yeah. People just feel like, again, it goes back to having so much access to us. They do. I think that they don't realize we'll actually see it. I think most people, for some reason, think that other people run your social media account or they're surprised if you comment back to them and they're like, oh. And like a lot of people will delete their comment at that point or something. But, I don't know. I remember when I was younger, a comment like that would have, again, I would have spiraled for a couple of days and it really would have hurt me. And I don't know. I think what it comes down to is if I feel like I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, well,
In general.
that's what it seems like from what I know of you.
Right. So even though I'm a pessimist, I am pretty happy with my life. So that doesn't affect me in a way that it might have. But in my early 20s, when I was a lot more insecure and did believe what other people said about me, people who didn't know me, I'm like, why do I believe what this person says about me?
Because they should have zero credibility as far as you're concerned.
Yes.
Well, I do follow you on Instagram, and you have some lovely posts about your daughter, about your husband. As much as you tease your husband, you're very celebratory and grateful about him. That does
Best person I've ever met in my life.
It shines through.
Yeah.
It does shine through, and I know you talk about him on the air. I know you sometimes have him on the air with you. And that, those are the things that are fun for me with anybody that I admire who's in the public realm, whether it's radio, TV, whatever, stage, screen, whatever, when you can kind of see inside to who they are as a person, because that's what matters. That daughter and that husband, that's what matters in your life. And that really does come through. And look, we all go through our different generational things. I will share one of my all-time favorite comments from my life in TV news.
Yes, please.
And I can't remember which market this came up in or if it came up more than once, but it goes down as my favorite. There were enough of, you seem taller in real life or you seem shorter in real life. I'm like, but my all-time favorite is, you're so much prettier in real life.
I get that a lot
So,
at the Jason
this is
show.
like a stranger coming up to me.
Yeah.
Like, would you ever do that?
No.
And so I would laugh it off because I like to think I have a good sense of humor.
Yep.
Laugh it off, and I'd be like, oh, I've got to get with my photographers. They are not lighting me well. I mean,
true.
What do you say to that?
You're like, oh, thank you.
Because is it a compliment? I don't think so. Or is it?
It's an interesting one. But another thing is you can, when you meet them in person, for me, I assume the person who said that to you was an older woman, and I don't know that it was. But you can also tell if something comes from they genuinely aren't trying to be mean. It's like a good place, or when someone's just trying to be nasty. So when I can tell someone like they just don't realize that might be
There's
insulting.
no real filter.
Yeah, and they're not trying to be mean at all, then those kind of roll off the back even easier.
Yeah, I mean, you get far more of that because of where you are in life and your following. So I feel for you. And I'm so glad, though, that you've come to a place where you realize that's like you can put that in a box.
Yes.
In a box that you don't have to keep open.
And I want to be clear, that doesn't mean like if I'm having a bad day, if something like that happened, it wouldn't hurt me. But yes, and it took me a long time to get to a point where it doesn't. Like, I remember there would be times where I'd see the mean comment and I almost would seek it out. I'd go back and look at it again. So one of my big things too is I'll delete a comment or block it if I think that I'll use it to hurt myself further. Like, it's almost like a form of like I would go back and like almost like re-hurt myself and reread it, which was unhealthy. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this?
So that shows your own evolution. And part of the reason I wanted to talk with you about this is because for everyone out there, whether they have any level of public figure, celebrity in their life, or they're a regular person that, you know, their family and friends that's their world, these kinds of comments still can hurt.
Yeah.
And so it's really about doing what you can do for your own mental health.
Agreed. And, you know, you look at, like, I've even gotten better about it with celebrities in my job. We report on celebrities. We've seen endless celebrities go through hard times. And from the outside, we're like, what happened to them? And you make fun of it, you mock it. But through time, like right now, I think Justin Bieber is very much going through something. And in the past, like in my 20s, I probably would have been like, he's crashing out. Look at like, this is great. Kind of like a Britney Spears, right?
Yes.
Now, I look at this person, I don't think he's doing well, and that makes me really sad. And I'm like, instead of like mocking it, I hope I'm like actively on the radio. I'm like, we could be part of the problem and make fun of this, or we could realize this person's probably going through something real. This is like an outward cry, and I really hope they have someone around them actually helping them and like finding the help they need instead of like making fun of this. So, but like Justin Bieber's the biggest celebrity in the world. He has so much money, and people lose a lot of empathy for people when they have things that you think that you want. When you're like, it must be so hard to be rich and famous. Doesn't mean he's not a real person. Doesn't mean he's not going through some real stuff.
Because he did give up a lot of his childhood and a lot of privacy. I mean, the privacy piece of this, have you ever had any physical safety? Like, have you ever been in danger in that way?
Thankfully, no. I've had friends and media who have, and I have had stalkers, for instance, and very, very scary. And, you know, I had a female friend in Indiana who went through this, and she, you know, thankfully I have not experienced that, but that was very scary, and I felt like very worried for her. And yeah, obviously bigger celebrities, they have real issues with that and have to get restraining orders regularly.
And turn to the courts. And,
yeah.
And on that note, Fallon, in our market of the Minnesota and the Twin Cities, you know, very, very sad over Father's Day weekend 2025 when Representative Melissa Hortman of the Minnesota House and her husband, Mark, were killed.
Yeah.
And another state senator and his wife were shot and deeply injured. Luckily, they will both survive. But that ultimate cost of fame for Representative Hortman and Mark Hortman is that they are dead.
Yeah.
And it is very much in direct line because of Melissa's very public life.
Absolutely.
In the legislature. She was a University of Minnesota Law School grad. She was, you know, a lawyer. She was a legislator, represented people and dealt with a lot of people, both in her party across the aisle. And in my past, when I had a weekly radio show, I interviewed her many times. She was always very accessible and a very professional person.
Right.
It was devastating for me when that news was breaking, and I was just glued to the TV and thinking about other reps and senators I'd interviewed, texting some of them, seeing how they were, connecting with my media buddies. I can only imagine that also hit you pretty hard.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was awful. It was awful locally in the community for families, the number of people that, because Minnesota it's a big city with a very small community, right? Like it's like everyone knows everyone. They kind of talk about that. And I did wonder how that affected others in office, like how they're evaluating their roles, how they're evaluating their, like, protecting their families. And I just cannot imagine. And it's awful. It's absolutely terrible.
It's awful. And one of the side effects, which I hope won't play out in a huge way, but many people that might be thinking of running for office will now not, that we really want. I mean, we don't want people that are unhinged running for office who are just publicity seeking. We want people like Melissa Hortman and John Hoffman running for office that can collaborate, can really represent their constituents. It's a public's life. I mean, they're giving their life, and they're not making oodles of money. Like, they're not making Fallon money.
Oh, well.
And they're not making Tom Hanks money. But they are representing thousands or tens of thousands of people, in some cases millions of people, in what they're doing. So a definite tribute to them in this time. I think it really sent shockwaves around the United States and the world. It certainly made news globally, and will probably mean a lot of states look at the protection and the security details of all of their public figures.
As they should. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to wind down on something very happy, which is it's been really fun listening to you on the air over these years. First, you're on Morning Drive. So good with Dave Ryan. I mean, excellent, the two of you together. I am wondering what it's like switching from morning show to being the first name now on the afternoon drive with your co-host, as well as adding in the TV mix.
Yeah. So for radio, it was an interesting shift for me because I'd had the desire to host, but it's like anything else. Dave is great at what he does. He makes it look easy. So, it's kind of like, well, can I actually do it, right? And I think in any situation, if you have the right partner, it can go well, right? Like Colt is my ideal partner. We have great chemistry. If you have chemistry with someone very quickly, we have great chemistry. And I was like, okay, this is an easy partnership. He makes it easy for me. I think I make it easy for him. And I think for me, it was just gratifying and made me feel like, okay, I can do this. And I've proven to myself I can. And so funny enough, I like morning hours better. People thought, oh, once you go to afternoons, you're going to love that more. I like to get up and start my day.
And then you're done when you're done.
Exactly. So at first I wasn't doing TV and I was just sitting there almost waiting to go do I didn't like that. I was like, I don't like having this. So when the TV thing became an option, I was like, okay, I can still have something in the morning. So but now I'm doing a lot throughout the whole day.
It's a lot. I mean, you have two very full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Well, what I will say is, and I'll, put some love on you, just in my understanding, my own experience in media. I mean, to be Dave Ryan's co-host on very, very, and he's a longtime award-winning morning show host, to then be asked to do the afternoon drive and really flagship the afternoon drive. I mean, that's huge. That had to have felt good.
Yes.
That your station had that kind of belief in you, as well as you had the listeners, you had the following, for them to say, okay, we want you to do afternoon drive. What did that feel like?
Scary, but exciting. And I honestly think, not for me, but for women in general, long overdue. I mean, we need more female-led shows. So I
agree.
So we have more in this market than a lot of markets because of other stations that are kind of female-led. But I think it's good. It says a lot about management that they would take, which sounds funny to me, take the risk on a female-led show. I don't think that's a big risk, but in my industry, I think it's viewed that way. So it felt really great.
And what is your lesson then to people out there who aren't necessarily in radio or TV, but they want to burst ahead and they want to continue to be challenged, men and women?
I mean, what do they say? Like, they say, if you stay in the same spot, there is the level of comfort. It's just like when you're in a relationship that's only okay. You're like, because you know what you're getting. You think there could be something better out there for me, but it's scary. I just know that, I don't know, I think you bet on yourself, and more often than not, you can go back to what you were doing. Not always, but a lot of the time people are afraid to make a big move. I don't know. What if we don't make friends? Okay, you can move back. Or I'm afraid to try this new role. What if it's not as good? I bet you could probably go back if you really, really hated it.
Like if it was terrible.
If it was. So I always think, take the risk. And I know it's easier said than done because a lot of the time there's a financial element to that. And I want to be respectful of that. And I was in a good place where I wasn't like taking a financial step back to do this. You know what I mean? It was like, it was kind of like a safe jump, but it was still a scary jump. I was on an established show.
Yeah, because you needed to succeed. They did not want you in any level to go back.
Yes.
Because that's a big decision for a large market radio station to make, who they put on afternoon drive. So congratulations to you. It's so great. And it was just so wonderful having you on the Crisis Files. Thank you for opening up.
Yeah,
I know that you are really inspiring people already, and now you're inspiring crisis filers to learn from the lessons you've learned and to hopefully live in the light.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
You can follow Fallon on Instagram at Fallon, F-A-L-E-N, on air. Today's case file is powered by Huntington. Huntington, home of early pay. You could get paid up to 2 days faster, and there's no cost. It's your money, so stop playing the waiting game. Find out more at huntington.com/yourmoney. Direct deposit and eligibility requirements apply. Follow us on YouTube and Instagram at The Crisis Files. Rate, review, and subscribe to The Crisis Files on your platform of choice. Visit thecrisisfiles.com for all 3 seasons of the show. I'm Roshini Rajkumar. Join me next time on The Crisis Files.